How you doing, Sam?
I'm very well, mate. How you doing?
I'm very well. I'm very well, thank you, man. I'm gonna say thank you again for taking the time to join us on Pound for Pound Boxing Show. Actually, privilege having you on.
It's good to be here, mate. It's good to be here.
Yeah, brilliant. Just gonna get started. Basically, gonna go straight into it. Harlem. Obviously, I want to ask you, what first got you into boxing, and who was your boxing inspiration?
First got me into boxing. I've always been into martial arts from a kid. You know, I grew up on Bruce Lee, Van Damme films. I always appreciated the art of combat and I guess the process it takes you on. So I started martial arts when I was 7 years old. Obviously, early inspirations being guys like Bruce Lee. Um, and then I got into football, and 4 or 5 years later, touched on boxing. But because I played football at the same time, it was a case of just dipping my hand in it. And then at the age of 18, I kind of went back to it and was like, yeah, I want to do this. I got a love for combat, and that kind of drove me to really get into boxing and put everything into it. So I guess at that age, it was just I dipped my hand in it, and when I went back, I kind of really had that urge to develop in it, and it's kind of that urge to get better that drew me into boxing.
Brilliant, brilliant. So Harlem, obviously, you just mentioned the football as well. What team did you support?
Um, I support Brighton and Hove Albion. Obviously, when I played for the like the development team as a kid, but they weren't in the Premiership then, and now obviously you see how well they're doing now. So yeah, Brighton and Hove Albion is my team.
Yeah, a local lad. I'm not surprised you said that honestly. Obviously, being a local lad, yeah, they're flying high at the moment. They're doing pretty well.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. Obviously, Harlem, you come from a famous boxing family. Uh, like I said, your uncle is an absolute legend, British boxing legend. I want to ask you though, growing up, how was it? Obviously, having an uncle, so iconic uncle, a famous uncle. How was it growing up for you?
Um, for me, I didn't really see many of the fights. It was kind of just a case of you see how other people respected what Chris Senior had done in the sport. But I hadn't actually seen many of the fights because they were before I was old enough to watch, or before I was kind of born, like a lot of his success. So it was kind of I was proud that he'd done what he'd done, and obviously coming from his background as well, what he achieved was huge. Um, so yeah, I was proud, very proud, and I guess kind of getting into boxing and seeing Junior do try and replicate what Senior had achieved firsthand. Um, it seemed more tangible to be able to achieve those things. And I guess going into boxing, them kind of things are in the back of your mind that you want to achieve high, because people so close to me have done the same.
100%. Obviously, he set a benchmark. Really, obviously, he's achieved so much in the sport, and obviously, Chris is doing well himself, and obviously, he's gone on to win a world title himself. So obviously, it does get a bit where you're thinking, "Oh, I've got a lot to live up to," but and also it's a motivation, I'm sure for you.
100%, 100%. Once you've seen it done, it kind of it drives you to try and achieve those things and have high expectations of yourself. And that's how I approach boxing. I wanna reach those heights, but taking it step by step, and yeah, learning every day and getting closer to those big fights.
Yeah. So a comment from Nando, from my colleague Nando, said, "You getting your fashion tips from Senior?"
I think I've got my own style, but yeah, I mean, Senior set the bar for fashion, and putting his stamp on things, dressing as the Englishman, the idle Englishman. In them times, it was definitely outside the box, and yeah, he definitely put his fashion mark out there for sure. But I think my style is a little bit different, but I like my fashion too.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Let's talk about your last fight. There's obviously an eliminator for the English title. You were successful, winning on the points against Daniel Egbunike. Sorry. I watched that fight live. Fantastic performance from yourself. How do you rate your performance?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I knew what dangers Danny Egbunike presented, and I wanted to show people I can box. I can be strong on the inside. I can trade, and that was an opportunity to show different aspects of my game that people hadn't seen before. So I was looking forward to that opportunity to display what I can do. And yeah, when it came to it, I was just reacting to what was in there, and boxing, moving, fighting on the inside, and yeah, I still feel like I've got a wealth of skills that I haven't shown yet, and I look forward to presenting them when I get further opportunities.
Yeah, like I said, I was very impressed with that performance. Boxed very well. You boxed very well on the inside. Moved very, very well across the ring, and he caused him problems all night. I don't think he had an answer to anything you had for him, and it was a really, really impressive performance.
Appreciate it, mate. Thanks very much. Look forward to more.
Yeah. Obviously, you're scheduled maybe to fight K Prosper, who was the English champion at the time. He's obviously vacated his title because he's going to be fighting in April for the European title. Has there been any news of your next fight, maybe fighting for the English title?
I haven't heard anything yet. I'm waiting to hear. I'm training away, just waiting for waiting to hear what the next opportunity is. But yeah, the English is definitely on my radar, as well as other fights, other opportunities. Just moving forwards, and whatever kind of titles down the line that present themselves, I'm up for fighting for. Whatever fights are going to develop me into towards them bigger fights. That's what I'm searching for. And like I said, I have big aspirations in the sport, so I know with the right experience, within a few years, I will reach them aspirations.
100% brilliant. Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, like you said, there's some fights that could be happening for you, potentially in the long run. A lot of fighters out there that's going to go through, and potentially fighting Sam O Maison if you fight for the English title. That's obviously been talk of that maybe happening. Obviously, there's a lot of other guys like Dalton Smith, Lee Appleyard, Darren Surtees, and Sean Dodd. Any of those opponents I mentioned, would you like to maybe get in the mix with one day?
Yeah, I mean, all of them, were exciting fights. Exciting, with the right, when the fights present themselves, and the public want to see it, I'm happy to fight all those guys. That's what boxing's about. It's about good fighters facing good fighters, and I think that's what people have seen more in lockdown. People have seen fighters in competitive fights, and that's what the boxing fans want to see. Best be the best, and exciting prospects facing off against each other. So like all those guys, I'd like to test myself against.
Yeah, I mean, very, very good opponents. If they do happen as well, very, very fantastic fights. Obviously, Dalton Smith, for me, I would love to see happen in the future. Obviously, if you keep winning, he keeps winning. I'm sure that's going to be demand from the English public for that fight to materialize. So that would be one for me if it does happen maybe in the future.
For sure, for sure.
Brilliant. I'm going to ask you again. Obviously, you got great stablemates, some really, really good fighters. You're like obviously Josh Kelly, Michael Conlon, Shannon, Courtney, What's it like? What's the atmosphere like for building up to massive fights with these guys in the gym?
It's electric, you know. It's electric when these guys have big fights coming up. It's pure focus, you know, and that energy drives through the gym. I'm always in the gym, regardless of fights, just soaking it up. There to learn and improve. And you see when we get big fight dates, regardless of who it is, you know, the energy is just driving through the gym, and we're all competitive, so we're all driving each other on. You know, if one person picks up the pace, you know, it brings all of our levels up. So it's great to have that kind of like group energy, which means there's no falling behind. You know, you have to keep up.
Brilliant. I mean, obviously, we're going to talk about Josh Kelly. Obviously, he had a massive fight a couple of weeks ago against David Egbunike. Obviously, come up short. How do you rate Josh's performance? Obviously, the first couple of rounds he was boxing superbly, and then obviously Egbunike showed his class. Can you see Josh coming back better from this fight as well?
Yeah, I can definitely see him coming back better. It's for me, Josh. We've seen how good he is, and even in the early rounds when he was dominating, he wasn't his normal self. He wasn't moving his feet, and that's one major part of his game. So for me, he was a shadow of himself in there, and yeah, I think he'll come back stronger. Just it's all experience. That's what the fight game is: experience at different levels. And Josh, for me, is levels and levels above what he showed in there. You know, I know how good he is, so I'm sure he will be back to show the boxing public just how good he is as well.
Yeah, obviously there's been talk of him going up to 154. Do you think that's going to potentially happen now?
I don't know where the talks come from at all, because he makes weight easily. Like he's a big welterweight, but he really makes weight easily. So I think the talk is maybe from people in the welterweight division that don't want to fight him rather than him.
No names. No, I mean, obviously, like I said, David Egbunike, experienced fighter. He's been in there, fantastic fighters. Maybe the experience showed towards the end, but like I said, I'm sure Josh can come again from this fight and become a better fighter for it.
Yeah, sorry, say that again. I was just reading some of the comments, getting distracted in the live.
Yeah, obviously, David Egbunike was obviously experienced fighter. He's been in there with some great champions, and maybe the experience showed towards the end. But I'm sure Josh can come again and become a better fighter for this.
Yeah, Evanesian's fringe world level. Like, he's been fighting guys at world level. He's been fighting guys like Kavalauskas, you know, that caused Terence Crawford problems. So Avanesian's fringe world level in my view. And, you know, Josh fought him on his 11th fight. Yeah. So that, I think it really shows the confidence he has in himself and his ability to fight a guy that's fringe world level on his 11th fight. You know, that's feats that some of the greats, you know, that's feats that some of the greats didn't do that early on in their career, because it takes time to build. But that just shows his confidence in himself to be fighting a guy at fringe world level on his 11th fight.
Yeah, again, another question from my colleague Nando from Pound for Pound. He said, do you agree with Carl Fox's comments? The fighters have boycotted and lost respect for the British titles and have set a path for a Commonwealth and European level.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, it depends on what route you want to go and what makes sense to you personally, I guess. For me, I think the British title is a great thing to have. You know, to be the best in Britain is a great achievement, and yeah, for me, the British title is one of the nicest looking ones for sure. And yeah, personally for me, it's massive, you know. So I can't speak for everyone else, but everyone has different routes and different fights that make sense at whatever times. But I think the British holds its relevance for sure.
Brilliant. And is that obviously a route you're looking to take? Is obviously domestically, maybe win all those belts and then fighting for like a European or a world championship.
Yeah, I want to take all the steps, you know, all the steps towards those big aspirations, and yeah, and build towards them real big fights. And British is definitely on that route, as well as European, and then on and on, you know, to world level. So that's my aspirations, you know, and I'm just taking all the steps I can take in the gym, and that will show, you know, on my fight nights to come.
100%. I want to talk about your cousin, Chris Jr. Obviously, he recently signed a deal with Southland, massive deal. I want to ask you, it's potentially going to give him the license to fight the best at middleweight or at super middleweight division.
I hope so. I hope so. There's so many fights out there for him, and it's just a case of getting them signed and getting the other guys in the ring. He will fight anyone, you know. So it's just a case of getting the deal right and getting the fights signed. There's loads of great competition out there for him, loads of big names. Well, in Britain and globally. So hopefully that move will you know, open the door to them big fights for him.
100%. I mean, Chris has always shown a lot of promise. He's always got a lot of potential, and a lot of British fans probably a bit frustrated that he hasn't been in there with the best. But obviously, with this deal now, would you like to see him maybe fight the likes of Triple G, which he's been talking about? The likes of Canelo, maybe a rematch with Billy Joe Saunders again. Would you like to see Chris win?
Yeah, I'd love to see them fights. I think that, you know, they would solidify his, you know, boxing legacy to get them fights, and he wants them fights. He believes he can win them fights, you know, and I think he has all the tools to do it. So I'd love to see him get those fights and cement his stamp in the game. And I believe he's, you know, hungry to do that as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a massive deal. It's happening now for him now. I'm sure he's going to get that opportunity now to fight for another world title, and hopefully gets one of these guys very, very soon.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm looking forward to see it.
Myself too. I want to ask you, obviously, Senior was on Piers Morgan's Life Stories a couple of weeks ago. Did you watch that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
What did you think of it?
I thought it was good. I think it was good that he showed his emotional side as well. Because I think people forget in boxing that, you know, people aren't just obviously you have to be a hardened, you know, warrior and develop your skills so that you know, things bounce off you. But I think it was good for him to show his emotional side, as well as, you know, people see his other side all the time, which is a more maybe a more controlled version of himself. So I think it was good for the public to see a more emotional, human side of him.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think it was a great show. I mean, I really enjoyed that. Obviously, he showed his open emotions there, opened up a lot. Talked about obviously that fight with Michael Watson. Talked about obviously he's gone on to win world titles. His life growing up. Yeah, he lived a fantastic life, fantastic boxing career, and I think it was just showed another side, like you said, it showed another side to him which people didn't really get to see. obviously. So it was I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, yeah. He's had a lot of experience in life, a lot of life experience. You know, he's seen the bottom and the top. And what he's done in between and achieved in between is amazing. So he has life experience in abundance, and I think that kind of showed through in the Piers Morgan interview.
Yeah. Another question I want to ask you is, how influential have Chris Senior and Junior been for your boxing career so far?
Very influential. Just before I turned pro, I was always in the gym with them, and I can always go for them for any advice, and they're always offering me good boxing advice, which they have all the experience in the world. So I can always reach out to them and get good solid advice in boxing.
Brilliant. Another question I want to ask you, obviously, if this fight does happen, it's been talked about for a long time now. It looks like it might be finally getting signed, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. It's Tyson Fury against Anthony Joshua. Me and my colleague Nando have been asking every boxer we've interviewed, who do they think is going to win the fight? Your predictions, if you had to pick a winner, who could you see winning that fight?
I think that it will be quite a testy fight to start with. First couple of rounds, I think they'll both be feeling each other out. I don't think a lot will be happening. I think Fury will be very testy, and AJ might start tense. And I think Fury will outbox AJ, and it's a case of, will AJ land them big heavy shots, and if or when he does, how does Tyson Fury take them? Seeing the Wilder fight, he got caught and somehow revived from one of the hardest hitters in the game. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I think there'll be a lot of factors involved. I think Fury obviously has the boxing advantage. It's just a case of, will AJ land them heavy shots, and then it'll be interesting to see how Tyson reacts when and if he does land them shots.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an intriguing fight. A fight where we were waiting for a long time. It's going to be a history fight as well, and I'm just hopefully it gets signed very, very soon.
Yeah, it's a huge fight for boxing. I think the boxing fans need that right now.
100%. Another fight was going to be a rematch. Your stablemate is Shannon Courtney versus Rachel Ball. How's Shannon looking? Obviously, how sharp is she looking going into this fight?
She's looking sharp. She's hungry. I think the first fight definitely gave her that hunger for this one. I mean, in the first one, she showed that she had the ability to outbox Rachel. She got caught in the first round, which I think was just due to inexperience and getting a little bit too happy, letting her hands go, rather than sticking to the game plan. So I think she knows she's well capable of winning that fight, but she's even more kind of like motivated to show that. I think I think there's something about a loss which drives you forward to prove a point. So I think she has that about her.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be the first fight was a really good fight. I think it's going to be even better. Like I said, Shannon's looked sharper than last outings. So I'm sure she's going to be training very hard for this fight. She looks very determined to become a world champion. So I'm really looking forward to this fight.
Yeah, it'll be a good one.
Before I let you go, Harlem, I'd like to ask you, what is your short-term and long-term goals?
Short-term, I just need to get in the ring. I'm itching to get in the ring. So short-term, I just want to get busy with these fights. If I can get 3 fights this year, I'll be a happy man. And if more, then beautiful. depending on how this situation with the lockdown and stuff pans out, because obviously fight shows are more scarce than they were before. So short term, I just need to get active. You know, can't wait to get back in there and build on last year. Long term, I'm gonna be champion of the world.
Brilliant, brilliant. I like the enthusiasm. If MTG Global or anyone from like Lee Eaton, the guys are watching that, just get there, sort that fight out. Hopefully, you can see you in the ring very, very soon, and do what you do best.
That's it. That's it. That's what I want to do. I get busy.
Harlem, thank you again for taking the time to join me, man. Absolute pleasure, and I wish
Cheers,
you the
man.
best. And I'm looking forward to seeing you back very soon.
Thanks very much, man. Enjoyed it.
Man. Take care, man. God bless.
Take care. Bless.